Hi there, this is Sarah Kuhn. If you are an INFJ or in a relationship with an INFJ or related to an INFJ in any way, and you want to figure out how they operate, what makes them tick, and how to communicate with them better, this is the show for you. It's called The Quiet Ones. This is a show that deconstructs INFJs, what they are, how they think, how they feel, how they operate, and how they relate to people with other personality types. Whether you have just found out that you're an INFJ or have known for a number of years, there is something for everyone. You will learn more about your personality type so that you understand who you are and understand how you operate in the workplace, in relationships, in your family, and with friends. I want you to walk away from every episode feeling like you have a place of belonging, feeling like you are no longer alone, feeling like you have a place to be heard and seen and understood as you really are. This is a place to connect with other INFJs, to learn and grow and really thrive. I want to give you inspiration and real life strategies that are going to help you figure out how to live your best life every single day. Though INFJs are very rare, you are not alone in this world. You are not the only one who thinks the way that you do and feels the way that you do. Hear from real INFJs just like you. Hey there, I'm Sarah Kuhn. Welcome to another episode of The Quiet Ones. I am so excited that you guys are here. We have an amazing episode for you today. But before we get to it, I have something else that I want to tell you about. People have been telling me for a while now that we need a community. As INFJs, we need a community for us to come together and to really learn from each other and to share our experiences and to make friends and collaborate and just a place for us to come together. And I know that as INFJs, it's difficult for us to come together in person. So I knew that that was out, especially because a lot of people that I meet through Instagram and Facebook, they're not where I am. I'm in Boston, and only about half of my audience is actually even in the United States. So a couple of weeks ago, I was literally on Google trying to figure out, what does a community mean? What does an online community mean? Because I've heard people say this, and it's not just one person. It's been many people tell me, we need a community. You're building a community. I love this community. So I really wanted to expand that and make it a lot bigger, make it something that there's a lot more information there, and there's a lot better ways that we can connect as well. So I came up with something, and I'm really excited about it. And just in the last couple of weeks, I've expanded the idea like a couple of different times. And like I said, I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to share it with you. And it's going to be launching soon, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Fingers and toes crossed. I'm migrating my websites, and there's multiple websites now. And that's turned out to be a lot bigger project than what I had hoped that it would be and what I thought that it would be. But it's going to be done in the next couple of weeks, and as soon as that's done, I'll be ready to launch this community. So if you were interested and you want to join, which I hope that you will, it's free, and it always will be free. There's a link in the show notes that you can go to, and you can also find some information for it on my website at infjwoman.com, where you can sign up. All you have to do is put your email and your first name in there, and I will send you an email as soon as it's ready to launch. You will be one of the first people to be a part of it, and I really hope that you will, because it's going to be a great place. I have all these ideas, and I'm so excited. Along with that, which is sort of part of that community and also a little bit something different, I am looking for INFJ writers. I know that a lot of you out there are writers. I had this conversation with an INFJ that you're going to hear on the podcast soon. His name is Marco, and we had this amazing conversation. But we both talked about how when we were new INFJs, or when we had just learned that we were INFJs, we read all of this information about how INFJs are writers. And we were like, I'm not really a writer, but I kind of want to be, but I don't really know how to be. And it was kind of a process for us to figure out how to write. And then once we did it for a while, then we really enjoyed it and we loved it. And that's exactly where I am now. So I know that a lot of us as INFJs are writers. Maybe you're not a professional writer, but you want to be a writer. Maybe you have no idea where to start, but you know that you want to start. If you fall into any of those categories, you are perfect for this opportunity. I'm building something that's amazing and I need a lot of people to help me with it, basically. That's what it is. So if you want to be a part of it, if you have a blog that you want to promote, if you have social media that you want to promote, even if you don't have anything, you just want to write and you'd like to share it with other people, that's absolutely perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. There's a link in the show notes that you can submit your name and your email and some other information so that I can get in touch with you and get you the specifics. So if you want to be involved, I would love to have you be involved. And you don't have to be an INFJ. You just have to write about stuff that is relevant to INFJs. So again, there's a link for that in the show notes. That will take you to a Google form so that I can get your information and connect with you and give you all the information, the specifics for what kind of information that I'm looking for to write about, and the word count and all of those types of things. So yes, I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to tell you all the specifics and to show you exactly what it is. It's really amazing. Really, really awesome. Okay, so I am so excited for you to hear this episode. Today we are talking to Angie Cazares. I met her not too long ago on Facebook, actually. I love Facebook. I love the group function where you can meet other people who are doing something similar to you. She was posting about her business, and when I read the post, I thought, oh my God, that was so amazing. I always thought somebody should do that, and I'm so glad that there is somebody who does. We've been talking about habits a lot in the last couple of months, and I've been doing a lot of research on habits, learning how to make new habits, thinking about how I've made and kept habits in the past. And one of the things that's really helped me is having somebody to hold me accountable to a new habit. Having somebody who's there with me and encouraging me and motivating me, keeping me on track. And that is exactly what Angie does. She helps people who are looking to lose weight or training for a marathon or sticking to a budget, whatever it is, that's what she does. And she's not INFJ, but she is one of our ENFJ sisters. So she's very close and she's very relatable and completely awesome. And I'm so glad that she agreed to do the interview. I can't wait for you guys to hear what she has to say. I also wanted to let you know that we recorded the episode on video. So if you'd like to watch the video, it's available on YouTube at youtube.com/thequietonespodcast. All right, without further ado, here is the interview with Angie. So tell me, you're an ENFJ. Tell me how you found out that you were an ENFJ.
I found out I was an ENFJ. I think the first time I took any sort of Myers-Briggs related test was sometime in high school. I don't remember if it was in a class or what, but we took it and I got the ENFJ results and then started, kind of reading the description of, what that means, kind of your personality type description first time. And it was just all of these kind of light bulbs going off. ENFJ, like, yes, oh, yes, like everybody does when they get their Myers-Briggs type or their personality type.
Right.
Just so many more things made sense. And I'm really excited that you're having me on, even though I'm not an INFJ. I'm an ENFJ though, so I, come relating to you in 3 out of 4 ways that you look at the world.
You do. You're just a little bit more outgoing than I am.
Yeah, which I mean, that in itself though is a huge difference. So, but yeah, no, when I got the results, so many more things made sense because I have always been almost to a fault at times, caring and empathetic. And I just remember as a kid always struggling. I mean, something would happen, especially if it was something with me and somebody got upset. I said something, they took it the wrong way. I, you know, looked at somebody and they were like in a way and I could tell they were upset. Like I would go home and I would think about it constantly. Constantly.
See, I relate to that really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, and it would just like make me almost like sick, physically sick, to the point where I was just like, I have to do something about this. Like I am not going unless, anytime I upset somebody, anytime I've done something to offend somebody, I was just like, I have to fix it. I have to go. I have to try to make it right. So yeah, I mean, ENFJ just like makes sense to me in so many ways. Yeah, but yeah, I found out in high school.
Awesome. And you were telling me too, when we were talking earlier, about a test that you took because you're certified in the Myers-Briggs type indicator, right?
Yeah, I was working at a mentoring organization and we would use, we had volunteers to come in and kind of use the Myers-Briggs test with juniors in high school. They would take it. And then we would kind of sit down with them and help them explore careers based on their personality type and help them kind of realize, hey, if you do this job, it might pay a lot of money, but you're going to be miserable, just like based on different things. So
right.
Yeah, they sent me to get certified in Myers-Briggs as well, which was really, really interesting to just kind of, I think that's especially when I started to connect the fact that personality, it's just kind of how you're wired.
Mm-hmm.
And it just helped me kind of become a lot more tolerant of people,
Right.
because I know I can look at them now and understand them. Like once I've talked to people a couple of times, it's pretty easy for me to just pretty accurately guess their type.
Right.
And so yeah, I just know sometimes like, okay, I have to like think about, okay, I think I know that they're just approaching this conversation completely different than how I would, just because that is their preference. That's their personality. So it really helped me to kind of understand a lot about workplace culture, workplace, I might not jive with this particular boss because wow, we are like completely different in those ways. So it just helps me not to take things as personally if I don't have like click with somebody and it doesn't go well. So yeah, it was really good for me, I think professionally, especially to kind of get certified in Myers-Briggs, and take a deeper dive into it. Yeah.
Yes, I love that part of it too. Once I learned how to type other people, then it's like, okay, I want to type everybody that I know so that when we have a problem, then we can figure it out. I taught my 16-year-old niece how to do it too. So now when she has a problem, she'll call me and she'll be like, okay, so I have this problem with one of my friends and I can't figure out what their personality type is. So let's figure it out so then we can figure out how to fix the problem.
Oh, I love it.
And we can make it good. And I'm like, okay, we got this.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of toned it back a little bit because for a while there, like right when I was in the thick of like really being into it, I think my friends would get a little bit annoyed, like, oh, here she goes again. Like I would meet somebody new, or I would like be at a party and I'd be like, trying to figure out there. And so yeah, I have reeled it in a little bit more. But that's when I first saw your your blog and your Instagram, I was just like, that's great. Like if that had been me 2 years ago, if I had actually thought of doing something like that 2 years ago, I would have been like, ENFJ woman right here, like that's what I would have. So I think it's so cool that you've got this community of people that see the world in a similar way and support each other. I think it's super great.
It's so funny that you say that because when I found you in a Facebook group, I thought the same thing when you posted about your business. I was like, oh my God, always thought somebody should do that. And I can't believe somebody does.
Yeah, it's great. So definitely have mutual respect for what we're doing. It's good.
Yeah, we just kind of lucked out that we're close to the same personality type too.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about your business, because I'm so excited for everybody to learn about what you do.
Yeah, so Accountabilibuddy for Hire is my business. And going back to kind of being that um empathetic feeler. So it's kind of to my advantage in some way with my personality type that I am like an extroverted feeler.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's good and bad. I'm very vocal about wanting to support people's goals, like wanting to support people, where you might be a little bit more reserved and like, let me hold back my opinion a little bit, maybe. I don't know.
Sometimes it's like, I'm not gonna say anything. And sometimes there's even like this voice in my head that's like, don't say anything, don't say anything, don't say anything. Because I'm really reserved with people that I don't know, but people that I do know,
Yeah.
I've been accused of having a very pointed and direct way of communicating. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, and I always tell people too, like, don't ask me for my opinion, because like you're not prepared for it.
Yeah.
So it depends on how much I know the person, and how comfortable I am with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, for me, it's always just been like I'll hear somebody talking about an issue or a problem, and I'm just like, oh, here I am. Let's fix it. Like, and I'm very kind of a little bit sometimes too much, I think, in people's face about it. Like, oh yeah, we got this. We can overcome this. And um, so yeah. I mean, it was about a year and a half ago when I just decided to kind of build the website Accountabilibuddy, because I had been trying for a while just to think of like, I've always worked in nonprofit. So I've never made much money. So I've always been like, hey, let me try to figure out something that I could do to make a little money on the side. Um, and so brainstorming with my husband, he was just like, well, you're a really good friend and you're good at holding people accountable. So I was just thinking, okay, Accountabilibuddy, let's just be an accountability buddy for people. And so that kind of is what started the website and the business. And so that's kind of what I do. I've been coaching right now, just one-on-one, with people, where we go through whatever goals that they have, and do a weekly check-in on how was the last week, how are things going, brainstorm what we can do to kind of rework whatever didn't go well, and keep doing the things that are going well. So yeah, I mean, it's been really fun and cool so far. And I am going to soon start implementing a group coaching aspect of group accountability, where it will be 4 people in a group, and we'll do the same thing, which I'm really excited about, because I think it'll be 4 brains kind of working together on whatever goal you're working on, and kind of be in that support system. So yeah, that's Accountabilibuddy, and it's really great. It's kind of finally an outlet for me, to be that supportive person, and not always having to be with my close friends that sometimes I think I get on their nerves with my you should do this, you should do that, let's do this, let's
Right. But I
yeah.
think it's completely amazing to have somebody there who's supportive of you in your goals. And to me, I almost see it like a counselor. Like, when you go to a counselor, you do so because you need support from somebody else. You need an outside opinion. You need somebody
Yeah.
who doesn't really have skin in the game, but who's an expert in their field too. And when I saw your post on Facebook, I was like, that is so completely awesome. There's so many things that I can't hold myself accountable for that I would love to have somebody else help me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for this book that I'm using to prop my computer up, so I'm going to pull it out again. I found this book. It's called The 5-Second Rule. It's by Mel
Mm-hmm.
Robbins. One of the things that she talks about is parenting yourself, which I've never thought about in the past, just until the last few months, when one of my friends was like, do you know who Mel Robbins is? Like, you should know who she is. And I watched one of her short videos on Facebook, and she was like, you're never going to want to do the thing that you want to do.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you want to lose weight, when you want to set boundaries, when you want to exercise more, whatever it is that you want to do,
Hmm.
you just keep doing the same thing that you're used to doing because that's your habit.
Yeah.
And even if you really want to pull yourself out of it, it's difficult to do by yourself. But when you
Mhm.
have somebody else with you who's like texting you randomly going, hey, did you exercise today? Like, did you
Yeah.
fill out the sheet with your goals and your boundaries? And you're like, ooh, no, I didn't do that. I guess I should do that.
Mhm.
It's nice having somebody else there um who's not really your friend but really is your friend, because for me, I lean on my friends a lot,
Yeah.
and we seem to have the same conversations every time we go out to dinner,
Hmm.
which it seems like they also get frustrated with me too, because it's like, you've been complaining about the same problem for years, literally, like you just need to fix it.
Yeah.
And you know, all of my friends have kids and they have families, so it's difficult for them to be there for me at a level where I need them to be there for me.
Right.
So it's nice to have the option to say, hey, there's somebody who can be there for you and can help you with your goal and is really invested in what you're doing as well.
Absolutely. And I think that is an aspect when I first started that I didn't really realize was actually so beneficial, was that I was that third party. Um, because I realize, and that's kind of, you know, in a relationship with a partner or with your kids, for example, like things like that. It's like, if you're trying to help them and you're trying to encourage them and they take a misstep or they like don't follow through, that can really negatively impact your relationship. Whereas for me, being a third party where I don't have a prior relationship, I mean, I have worked with a couple of people that I know, and it's been fine, but having that third party person where I don't have any history with you, you know, we can start from scratch, we can kind of look at the big picture, brainstorm, all of that. I think has been super beneficial for my clients in the process. So yeah, it's been really great.
Another big thing that I've learned about habits is that you have to invest in your goal. Um, when I started my blog, I didn't really get serious about it until I bought my website, which was only $100, but it was a lot for me at the time. And it was like, okay, now I'm going to be really serious. Like, I can't just waste that money. A few years ago, I was running and I didn't know what I was doing. So I hired a running coach and I paid him $300 a month. And I was serious about it because I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not just going to waste that money. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I actually had 2 gym memberships. I don't know why I was a member of 2 gyms, but I had 2 of them. And it was like, okay, one of them is like, all right, you know, I can drive past the gym every single day and I still feel guilty for paying for it and not going. But when you have 2, then it's like, oh, and now you're paying this personal trainer too. So it's like, okay, I really need to get serious about this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just like anything, investing in, you know, like a college class or you know, an online class. It's just any little thing that you can do to invest in yourself. You take it way more seriously. I've absolutely seen that as well with my clients. It's just making that investment. It's like, oh well, yeah. And then, you know, you've got me randomly popping in as well. So yeah, that's kind of how my process works. I have usually like a scheduled check-in each week. And then apart from that, I work with the people to kind of come up with whatever whatever the goal is, whatever the bigger picture thing is. We find a way to kind of, for me to randomly check in throughout the week as well. And so I try to make that as fun as possible too. So it's not like I'm an accountability partner where I'm like, go, 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 you know, like negatively. I guess like it would be kind of the difference in thinking of, you know, your manager at work, where yeah, you might act differently because you know you're being watched at work, that kind of
Right.
a thing, you know, where it's kind of more of like this intimidation thing, where I feel like with me it's just like I'll check in, but it's I always try to be in a very friendly, like I'm your supporter, I'm your cheerleader type, let's do this, check in, and kind of give you like a gentle nudge as opposed to like, why aren't you doing this, you know? Just
Right.
so I try to make it fun. I incorporate a lot of memes we have a lot of memes going on with my, I'll just make a silly meme. For example, like one of my clients, he grew up in Tennessee, but he lives in New Zealand now. And he was just like, on one of our very first conversations, he was like, I really miss squirrels. We don't have squirrels here in New Zealand. I'm learning a lot about New Zealand, by the way. We don't have squirrels. And so I was just like, oh, that's so sad. And I like live right by a park. So I always will like be taking photos of whatever thing he's working on that week. I'll like take photos and like make a squirrel meme, and I like send it on, like, you know, planning a picnic with somebody, like his wife, for Christmas, because they're in summer now.
Right.
And I like send him a little squirrel meme, like, how's the picnic planning going? You know, whatever, of squirrels having a picnic. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a big goofball. I like to have fun with it, check in, but also be supportive. So yeah, that's the process.
It's funny the little things that you miss when you move somewhere new. I grew up in the Midwest and it was crazy windy, like in Kansas. And then I moved to North Carolina and there was no wind. And every once in a while I would go outside and be like, this is weird. Like there's something missing. And now I live in Boston and I go outside and I'm like, oh my God, with the wind, like seriously, why did I miss this? Because being right on the coast, some days it's like insane. I think the wind is worse here than it was in Kansas, honestly.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, wow, that sounds like a completely awesome process. I know you and I have tried it out for a couple of weeks, and it's one of those things where it's like, oh, every time you get that text message, it's this nice, friendly text message, but it's just like this push, like, oh yeah, I was gonna do that thing, wasn't I?
Yeah, absolutely.
It works really well. And part of the process too is not just like an ongoing process, but it's to build habits as well, so that you can push yourself in the future too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and speaking of habits, there's this guy, I've been kind of trying to live by this little motto of, I heard him on a podcast recently. His name's James Clear, but he wrote a book on habits, and he mentioned just every time, you don't have like, okay, every time you're trying to build a new habit, try to do something small. It's like you're doing like voting for yourself in that way. So, you know, if you're trying to like build up a habit of becoming an identity of becoming a runner, every time that you go for a run, even if it's a short little run, you're taking a vote, you're making a vote on yourself to become, you know, a runner. And you don't need the majority, you don't need a unanimous vote to become a runner, you know, to win an election, to do those types of things. You just need the majority of them.
Right.
And so that really, really stuck out to me. And I've been thinking about it a lot because, yeah, I mean, it's just so true. It's just little progress over time is going to get you to meet your goals. So, I mean, we sit down when I start working with someone and we kind of do the big picture and then like reverse engineering it on, okay, you want to run this marathon? Okay, well, by what point should you be running what amount? You know, like just when is it? Let's just reverse the whole process.
Right.
Take it step by step. You know, and do like the big picture, and then it's just like, okay, now we're just going to focus on this week. Okay, what's the next thing that you need to do? Okay, what's the next thing that you need to do? And then, you know, go on from there. So, and like I said, checking in, reevaluating, and working on that. So, and I don't know, I mean, I think with your audience being INFJs, I think it's kind of cool because they might not be as likely to just kind of go out and join a big group of people to support them, you know, that kind of thing.
Sure.
So I feel like this process, and it's even with the group accountability, like I said, it's not ever going to be more than just 4 people, you know, in your group, 4 people and me. So I think that it will be maybe hopefully a little less intimidating maybe for some people in your audience if they're looking for that sort of extra support and are interested in my services. So So yeah, I mean, I don't know is that accurate? I don't know.
It's definitely accurate. For me, it was a lot less intimidating to have a one-on-one coach. Not only because I got personalized training and because I knew nothing about running. So it helped me to have, the one-on-one part. Part of his training, though, was group running. And I was like so intimidated because I'm like, I'm not really a runner. And he's like, it's totally fine. Just come. And, I'll put you in a beginner's group. And his beginner group included people who like ran marathons. And I'm like, dude, I don't think you know what a beginner really is.
Right.
But the group aspect I liked because I was terrified at first because I thought everybody was going to laugh and make fun of me. Like, here is this pretty much fat girl running with all these professional runners. But I went a couple of times being super scared, and they were all so nice and so supportive, and it made me feel like I belonged with them because they're like, telling me every time they would pass me, which they would make multiple laps, but every time they would pass me, they would be like, keep going, you're doing a good job, like, keep going. And I'm like, wow, these people are really nice. So it kind of opened my eyes a lot that it helps both to have the personal, the one-on-one.
Yeah.
thing, and then it helps to have other people who are at the same level as you are too. You know, as far as building a new habit and doing something new, because then you can reach out to them as well and say, okay,
Yeah.
I didn't really understand what the coach said. Maybe you can explain it different than they could, or just to have somebody else to connect with.
For sure.
Especially when you're doing something new, and to help push each other too.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that for us as INFJs, it's difficult to reach out to people. It's difficult because we think that we can do everything by ourselves, first of all. And then it's really difficult for us to ask for help. Definitely for me, as well. But then once you do ask for help and you realize that you're not alone, that everybody else feels the same way that you do, and then you learn other people's strategies on how to get past those things that you're struggling with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, that's interesting to hear you say that it's hard for you to ask for help, because for me, that's like the easiest thing in the world for me.
Really?
Yeah. And maybe that's like a big difference between ENFJ. I don't know. I am like quick to be like, oh, I don't know how to do something. I need to find somebody. Well, it probably is, honestly, because I like working in groups. I like having somebody else to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah.
And so I'm very quick to just be like, oh, I don't know something. I just need to go work with somebody on it. Like, I need to go find somebody and talk to them about it.
Yeah. See, that's like one of the big things for us is that when we're in school or at work and they're like, okay, group project, we're like, oh no, like, can I do it by myself?
Mm-hmm.
That's like the most torturous type of thing, especially when you're not assigned a group. When it's like, go find a group, then it's like, oh my God, like, I'm gonna die. I really don't want to be here. Can I go somewhere else?
And it's really interesting. I feel like that's on the fault of your teachers. I think like educators need to be more aware of, like, I have people who have a preference for introversion in here.
Yeah,
that's something.
That's part of things that are broken in the school system and things that are broken in the workplace too, because they teach you that you're wrong for being introverted, that it's something that you need to get over, that you need to get past, that it's part of your personality that's broken and you need to fix it.
Yeah.
And I mean, so that's part of why I wanted to start this blog and the podcast is, to make sure that people know that you're not wrong for being introverted. You're not wrong for not wanting to work in groups. That's absolutely, that's just how you were built. One of the biggest things that I hate is open office spaces. And it seems like, especially here in Boston, there's a lot of startup companies and all of them have open office spaces. Yeah. So like you don't even have a cubicle. You have a desk with a computer and the whole thing is open. And I'm like, do you guys like torturing people?
Yeah.
that, that that's torture for introverts, and you can't focus on anything. And how do you ever get anything done? You know, because it's not quiet in there when there's nothing to break up all of the noise. I mean, I don't understand that. But yeah,
Occasionally they'll put those little like white noise like in the whole kind of office, so it's
right.
not as crazy. But yeah, no, totally.
Yeah,
Man, that's hard.
yeah.
That's
But
frustrating.
yeah, but I mean, that's why it's great that you do one-on-one coaching as well, so that if somebody isn't really interested in group coaching, then you have that option too.
Yeah. I mean, and I was going to mention kind of just like the resourcefulness, being resourceful. Because that was one thing when I was thinking about doing this business and supporting people. I was just like, oh man, but I'm not an expert in like every single area that people are going to need to focus on.
Right.
But I'm super resourceful. So if I don't know, I'm going to look around. I help my clients, search for the resources that they need, brainstorm together, and just kind of come up with solutions. So yeah, I mean, that is something I do encourage people to also seek out is, who do they know that can help, and that kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And you have a special offer too for anybody who wants to give it a go.
Yeah. So for anybody who comes to me through, listening to this podcast or your blog, I'm going to offer a discount. So for one-on-one, $50 off the first month. And then for the group accountability, $15 off the first month. So yeah, you can kind of get more information, detailed information, by going to my website, www.accountabilibuddyforhire.com/INFJ. So that's where your audience can find the specifics, and kind of fill out a form if they're interested, and I can get back to them and give them that discount. So
awesome. And we'll put the link in the show notes as well, so
awesome.
everybody can find it. Yep.
Yeah. And I'm doing like a fun thing right now. It's not going to start until February 3rd, but it's just like a free 5-day challenge I'm calling it the Better Buddy Challenge. So that's one thing I kind of pride myself on, is being a really good friend and being reliable, all of those things. So I was just like, hey, there might be people who just need ideas, need a kickstart on, being a good friend, in 2020, if that's something that interests you. So it's just a free 5-day challenge where I'll give you a prompt, an activity, something to do every day. And kind of, you'll have to check back in and I'll hold you accountable to making sure you did it. And then, you'll get to be in a raffle to win a prize. So yeah, that's another thing. So you can also sign up there, on my website if you're interested in that as well.
Cool. Oh, that sounds great.
I'm just excited to see people move the needle forward on whatever it is that they want to do.
For sure. And perfect timing too, with everybody in the middle of their New Year's resolutions, and they already have habits in mind, and this point is usually the time when I start struggling. I went to the grocery store this morning, and one of my resolutions is to lose weight, which I've been struggling with. But I go to the grocery store, and on my way out, there's this big table with all these cute little girls and their families. And this little girl is like, do you want to buy some cookies, with these really big eyes and this cute smile? And I'm like, no, I don't want to buy cookies.
Man, why do they do that to people this time of year? That is true. And I think about that.
And I told them too, like, there was excuse me, there was probably 3 sets of parents there, and I'm looking at them like, are you serious? And they're like, you want to buy some cookies? I was like, you do this just at the right time. And one of the moms said, oh, because there's a snowstorm coming tonight. And I said, no, because like, this is the time everybody's giving up on their New Year's resolutions.
Right.
And she goes, yeah, that's about right.
Oh my gosh. Well, the better buddy solution to that would be you buy some cookies and you be a good friend and you give them to somebody else. Don't eat them yourself.
That's a great solution. See, you could
So,
take them to work. I took a bunch of candy to work too, because I got a bunch of candy over the holidays and I was like, I'm not going to eat this. But you
yeah.
take it to work and now you've made more friends at work because, they're all always looking for candy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's like and as an introvert, you don't have to have a conversation. You're just like, here's some candy. Okay, bye. And you just run out of the room.
Yes. Yep.
It's perfect.
Sure.
Oh,
for sure.
I have all the respect in the world for people with, with the introversion preference.
Yes. Awesome. Well, it's awesome to have an extroverted counterpart so that we can see the world a little bit differently.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I am here for you.
Awesome.
Well, thanks again for letting me come on. This is my first podcast that I've ever done, so I was definitely a bit nervous, but can't be nervous with INFJ woman. She just puts you right at ease.
Well, you did kill her. You look like a professional.
I hope so. We'll see. Awesome.
I hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Angie as much as I did. She is such a sweet person. And like I said in the interview, I have been working with her for a couple of weeks, and it really helps having somebody who doesn't have any skin in the game but has lots of great advice and is willing to check in with you and give you some help, just some extra pointers when you're struggling, and you have somebody there that you can text and say, hey, I'm having a bad time right now, just a couple of words of encouragement would go a long way. She's great at that, honestly. And like I said, you can find a link for her services in the show notes, and also a link for her challenge as well. It's completely free. There's no obligation, so definitely check it out. That's all that we have for today as well. Thank you so much for listening. I really, really appreciate it. Make sure that you subscribe wherever you listen. And if you have a minute, it's really helpful if you leave a review. It helps other people find us as well. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you again next week.